All right. Hi there, everyone. So I'm going to wait 30 seconds, 1 minute before starting. Yeah, we have the slides here. I think I should be able to see the comments here. All right. So for those who don't know me, I'm gonna do a quick intro to myself. And today we're gonna talk about how to create NFTs project faster. What do I mean by that? We're not going to talk about smart contracts development. We're not going to talk about GM Kunal, such a pleasure to see you here. We're not going to talk about how to deploy your NFT collection or how to create your decentralized marketplace, but we're trying to understand better how to handle these on-chain NFTs once they're deployed, how to query those, how to find the information we need. Anyway, such a pleasure to see you here, Gabriel Quezon. I will try to keep an eye out to all the comments. If I miss some of those, I will try to reserve 10 minutes at the end of this session to go through all of these questions. There's a lot that we're going to do. So I'll try to be as brief as possible, as simple as possible, but also as fast as possible. First of all, let me quickly introduce myself. I am Vito. I'm a developer advocate at Alchemy and Twitter content creator. And starting since yesterday, I'm a full stack blockchain developer. Blockchain developer is actually Web3 developer, but after a very deep discussion with Patrick Collins, we reached to the point that blockchain developer is the new standard to define Web3 developers. So please change your curriculum. That said, today I want to bring to you an issue that all blockchain developers all Web3 developers have. That is not scammers. And if you're not familiar of why I use seafood to describe a scammer, well, you should definitely look into the Wonderland scam or the Quadriga scam. And are not even the gas fees. Now, we know that Ethereum gas fees can become really, really high, as this meme is telling us, but are not the main issue. I mean, it's a big issue, but not one of the main issues all Web3 developers have to face. And then, of course, there is security, right? Is another big issue, but it's not even this one, the issue I want to talk to you about, and is querying the blockchain. Now, all of these issues we went through, so scammers, securities, gas, and so on and so forth, are all very important issues that all Web3 or blockchain developers should try to solve when they're developing like decentralized applications or these smart contracts. But querying the blockchain is another huge issue. Why that? Okay, let's say we have Josh here that is wondering, let's say I want to see how many NFTs this address has. So the question is completely legit. I think is a question that everyone, while being in the blockchain space, in the Web3 space, asked at least once. And what you should do at that point, if you want to know, if you don't want to use OpenSea, but you want to build your own decentralized application, you want to build your own application, then you would need to start and go through this function that is a legit function from Ethereum, the Ethereum API, that is ETH_get logs. And then you should pass an argument that is the KK256 of a function. So what do I mean by that? Let's say I want to track all the mint functions in all the blocks into the blockchain. Let me just turn off my Telegram because we just launched a new community and it's going crazy. It's going crazy. Everyone is messaging a lot, so I'm receiving a lot of messages. So I was saying, if get logs is proper from the Ethereum API, so what you could do if you want to fetch like all the NFTs belonging to an address is go to all the blocks. Ajax, such a pleasure to have you here. All the blocks, run if get log and look for all the main functions. And then you would end up like querying the first block and then the second block to get all these main functions, just to understand who were the original owners of these NFTs. So the people that the addresses that minted these NFTs. So you run if get logs and you run if logs again and you run if logs again, and again for like an awful lot of times, like millions of times for every niche block. Once you have all the list, like the whole list of NFTs on the chain, then you would need to start doing the same, but in this case, using a transfer as a function here to fetch all the transfers methods and rebuild the chain of ownership that NFT have, right? To end up having the ultimate owner, then keep a database with all the actual owners of your NFTs. And at that point, you can ask the question that Josh had, that is, I wonder how many NFTs does this address have? right? So it's an awful lot of job. And to be more precise, so you would end up with an awful lot of data. To be more precise, the first time you run all of this job, you would need to run it like 147 million, billion and 137 million and 450,000 times. So that's an awful lot of times. No counting checking all transactions. So just to understand what are the regional owners of all these NFTs, right? The original people that minted these NFTs. So it's crazy. Now, luckily though, we have a solution. So we know that this is a problem, that querying the blockchain is a problem, that understanding how many or how much of something an address has on the blockchain is a problem, right? So a lot of solutions came up. Our solution for NFT specifically for Alchemy is the NFT API. And this is super, super cool. So if you click on this link, I will share the slides later on. You can see like what kind of things it's supporting. You can see that Behance is using it and a lot of other companies, so Adobe is using it. The NFT API is essentially doing all of the job that Josh had to do, so querying all of the blocks on the blockchain for you. So you have all the blockchain already queried, and you just need to use RESTful API calls to get the information you need out of it, right? So we have four main endpoints for these NFT API. Four main things you can access from the blockchain. There are get NFTs for collection, get owners for token, and get NFT metadata. Now, if you want to know more about it, I of course didn't add the link, but you can simply write NFT API docs and go to the Alchemy documentation. You just write NFT API docs Alchemy, and here there is an extensive documentation. So as I was telling you, we have four main endpoints. We have the get NFTs main endpoint that essentially tells you how many NFTs an address has and the metadata, so the information of these NFTs. We're going to see what is the metadata in a few seconds, so no worries at all. Then we have the get NFT metadata. Why that? Well, you might want to simply check like one single NFT, and this function here, this endpoint here, I'm sorry, has like this argument that is with metadata. So if you pass true to this argument, you will get the metadata right in this call. Otherwise, you need to call another endpoint. And then, no worries though, if it's not like 100% clear, we're gonna build an application using this API in a few seconds. So just bear with me for the moment. And then we have get NFTs for collection that will allow you to fetch an entire collection. So you just pass the smart contract address of that collection and you get back all the NFTs, all the images, all the attributes, all the descriptions from that collection. And then last but not least, get owners for token. So let's say you have a token, you have a contract address, you have an ID, and you want to know the owner of that ID into that collection, then with this endpoint, you can do it. Now, in this presentation, we're only going to see the first two, that is get NFTs and get NFTs for collection, that also encompass the get NFT metadata, because as said before, we're going to use the with metadata parameter for this endpoint. The other one, I will leave you the honor to explore it because it's super cool and you can build an awful lot of applications with it. So by the way, let me show you a very quick demo of what we're going to build or what we're trying to build. So here I have my localhost 3000. Everyone knows this website, super important, probably the most trafficked website on the web. And here I have OpenSea. So OpenSea does something very, very different. So something very, very similar. So they fetch NFTs on chain, right? For example, we have this other side NFT. I can go down here and get, for example, the contract address. So I'm clicking contract address, clicking on the link. This will bring me to Etherscan. I can click on this button here, go back to my localhost application. And here, as you can see, we have two inputs. We have the paste wallet address input and the paste collection address input. So in this case, I copied the smart contract address of this collection. So I'm gonna take the get collections. I'm gonna paste it here, fetch NFTs. I will open my console just to understand what's going on. Of course, probably nothing will work. This is so weird. Let me check. Live troubleshooting. We were speaking about it a few seconds ago. So this is so weird. Okay, let me go back. Let me try with an address. So the owner of this address is winner, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna remove get collection and remove this address from here, fetch. There is an issue going on here. Okay, I see the issue. I see the issue. It's my bad. It's actually my bad. So let me open directly the code and let me do one simple thing to show you what's going on. So I need to modify one thing in my code because I didn't want to show you my API key. So that's what I'm trying to do. Bear with me. So here is essentially saying that I don't have my API key inserted. So I'm just going to log in here. You can see it again because I didn't want to show my API key, but I will do it no matter what probably. So I'm gonna copy this here. I'm gonna public API key, and you see what's going on in a few seconds. Public API key equals. Let me restart my server. Run that. There we go. So now if everything worked as expected, I hope so, we can copy his address, fetch NFTs, is not working, of course. Public, oh my God, next API, okay, you should see it. You should definitely see it. I'm just trying to paste my API key into the thing, into the code. Oh, I kind of moved my window now. So let me make it smaller. So we just need it. So we have to import it. We're going through these in a few seconds. So it's next public API key. Let me go back. Next public API key. And it should work now. So let me just open a new one. npm run dev. Oops. Let's go. So if we refresh now, let me grab this back. No, it's not taking it, and I have no idea what's going on here, so we'll just use my API key here. So bad, don't do it. And during the tutorial, we're going to go through it in another way. So let's say I have my collection, I have my address. So let's go here, paste my API key, fetching NFTs, all right. I'm gonna troubleshoot it in a few seconds altogether. So at the moment, what I'm doing here, I'm getting all the NFTs belonging to this address. So if I go back to OpenSea and I look at winner cheer, blah, 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 I can see all the NFTs he has or she has, and I can see the same NFTs here. You might wonder, why shouldn't I use OpenSea? Well, in this case, you can create products that display NFTs, and OpenSea is a product. So you want a product to create, you want an API to build your application that displays NFTs. Anyway, here, for example, as you can see, we have the image of the NFT, we have the title of the NFT, we have the ID, and we have the contract address. So as you can see here, as you can notice, we have another input that is paste collection address. So I can simply click on this small icon here, copy, and paste the collection address in this field, click on fetch NFTs, and this will filter only the NFTs owned by this address with this smart contract that belongs to this contract address. Now, if I remove the contract address and click on get collections, as you can see, my paste wallet address input field is grayed out. So I can click fetch NFTs again. And what this will do, it will fetch all the NFTs belonging to this collection, not just the NFTs owned by this wallet address. Again, we're having the same issue I was having a few seconds ago. So I need to grab my private key, my API key, and change also the other function. I will show you how to avoid such things, but because I didn't want to create a backend and next expose the API keys on the front end, I wanted a fancy way to actually hide my API keys, but actually we're live, so it's not working. Anyway, I can click on fetch NFTs again, now that it's working, and I can see all the NFTs belonging to that collection. If you want to try again, let me go to the other side NFT collection. This is the Bored Ape Yacht Club that just released the spin-off, and we can go here with a get collection toggled, click on fetch NFTs. Actually, it might take some time, so I'm going to just refresh, because sometimes it just takes too much time, and we can call it and we can see it, and now we have all the other side NFT images and information The attributes are not displaying because I didn't display those in the NFT card, but we have the ID and we have the NFT collection. And if you click on view on Etherscan, you will see the smart contract of the other side collection. Now, the question is, how did we make it? How can you make the same? How can you build the same? Potentially that works also when your API key doesn't get fetched. So what we'll need to do now is open our terminal. So the first thing I will do is create a new folder, and I will name it. I won't create a new folder. I will just spin up a new next project. So what you can write is npx create next up, and then e and write with tailwind CSS, and we want it because we want to style our application with ease, so we don't want to go through CSS and so on and so forth. So I'm just gonna click enter, and it will ask me what's the name of my project, and I'm gonna call it Alchemy Chainlink NFT demo. It should work. I don't think they have the same name, honestly. Let me check. No, this is tutorial. This is another name. Yeah, that's another name. So now what this will do is it will create my Next.js application boilerplate. So npx create next app e with Tailwind CSS. So I can move my code again back here. And now what I can do is cd, so I can ls to list all my folders. I can cd into Alchemy Chainlink NFT demo, and I can click and can write code dot. This is a shortcut to open VS Code. Amazing. Once we're here, let me reopen the StreamYard page. Where is it? I can't really find it. Desktop one. All right, here we go. Okay, I couldn't find you. And I wanted to read the winner chicken dinner. All right. So again, I'm in my VS Code. I want to reopen my other VS Code as well here. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is go under index. So if you're not familiar with Next.js boilerplates, what we have here is our old good node modules. We have the pages folder, and every file in the pages folder will be an actual page, except for the underscore app.tsx. So index will be our own page. And then we have API, because Next also allows you to create a backend. So you can make call to our APIs. And this is, for example, a REST API endpoint. And then you have this public folder where you will insert your fav icon, your images, everything that has to be public. So slash the name of the file, or the file. Then you have styles, where we insert our styles. In this case, we're using Tailwind, so all the things you need into your styles global.css is already written here. And then we have our other Next.js config, readme, and other configuration files down here. What we need to pay attention to, though, is our pages folder. Now, the only files we need for our application are the index file, and then we'll need to create another folder called components. So I'm going to click on this button here, call it component, and then inside component, I'm going to create another file called NFT card, actually just card.jsx. We don't want to use tsx. So I will also rename index.tsx to JSX, because we don't want to think about types at that point, right? So once we have done it, we can move to index.jsx, click inside the div, and remove everything that is here. Before removing everything, I would just want to show you, if you're not familiar, if you never created a Next.js application, you can just write npm run dev, making sure you're in the right folder. So this will open a new page, localhost 3001 in this case, and it's telling me a module is missing. That is next page, we don't need it. This is just because we changed the name from TSX to JSX, and this was the type of the home page. We don't need it anymore, so we can just restart it. It already restarted, so I can open my Chrome page, go on localhost 3001, and this is our Next.js application. So what we need to do now is delete everything, because we won't need it. So I can go back to my Visual Studio Code, that is here. No, this is my other Visual Studio Code. I have way too many windows open at the moment. So we have too many, seriously too many. Okay. And I can remove everything contained into the div because we need to clean up that page. Amazing. So if I make it smaller, you can see that now our page has nothing in it because we deleted everything. Just to test again, I can write h1, and I can write a world or a Chainlink. And now if I refresh my page, a Chainlink is displayed here in the center of the page. Perfect, that's what we wanted. Then other than that, we will need our NFT card that, if you recall, is just the card that will display our NFTs. So if I go back, select the owner address here, click here, go back, paste it here, fetch NFTs. So these will be our cards. So the first thing I want to work on are actually the cards. So what you can do now is go on the repo or just follow with me. What I will do is copy some code from my other code base so you can follow along, and then I will explain to you what the code is doing and why it's important and so on. So I will start from the NFT card because we can see what is the product, what is the kind of data that we want to arrive to, right? So what I will do now is select the code from here and paste it here, click save. So we have it. So our NFT card, again, I expecting that you have some familiarity with React components. So it's a React component. React components can accept props. So what I'm doing here, essentially props are an object that you can have in your component. You can destructure your prop. So my prop, what I know is that I'm passing a prop with an NFT. And inside the NFT, there'll be some data. What kind of data? Well, there'll be an image, probably. There'll be a title. There'll be an ID, so my token ID. There'll be a description, so we can go back to our cards. There'll be a title, there'll be an ID, there'll be a description, a contract address, and there'll be a description, just like here. Now, our job, though, is to bring this data here to actually decompose it and create our cards. Again, token ID, contact address, and then we have the small icon to copy the address and the description, right? So we have all of these, and now we can work on getting these NFT, how to fetch these NFT. Let's move to the index.js section, so JS page. And the first thing I'm gonna do is the same I did with the NFT card. I'm gonna copy and paste some code. So I'm gonna copy this code here, and I'm gonna paste it here. So what we're doing here is we are creating, let me take our home page again. So we have an input, another input, a toggle box, and a button. And here we're creating our first input, that will be our wallet input. Then we're creating another input, that will be our collection input. And then we're creating a toggle box that will essentially tell us if we're looking for collections or if we're looking for NFTs owned by someone. And then we have our NFT cards. We get there in a few seconds. Now, the first thing we need to do, though, is to create a place, create a variable. In the case of React, create a state where we can store our smart contract, our wallet address. So when we insert our wallet address here, I want a place where I can store it, okay? So how can we do it? We can use the useState React hook. So you can simply go inside your component and create a new const wallet, set wallet, useState. You will need to import useState, though. And useState is in the React library, so you can write import useState from and then React. Okay? And this is the first thing. So what will happen is that every time we'll change something in our input, so we'll type something in our input, a new function will kick in. So this function with the event argument will call this set wallet function and will save the value inside our input inside this variable. So when we write something, so let's say we write A, I can show you actually, why not? Maybe it's clearer. You can click on inspect and install the React developer tools on your browser. They're super useful. And as you can see here, I have my first state, and this is the state we just created with the useState wallet. And every time you write something here, this state will update A, S, B, F, C, and so on and so forth. The second input, though, will handle another thing, that is the collection. So the same is happening with the second input, as you can see here. So state at the moment is null. I can write S, B, E, and is appearing here. So going back, we need the same thing. We need a way to store our collection. So what you can do is click is click under the const wallet, set wallet use state, create a new variable, a new constant, call it collection, create the function to update it. So set collection as use state once, and initialize use state. I always suggest to don't initialize your use states as null because it creates a lot of different issues. So just this will be an array, right? So just give it an array. It will be actually a string. So just initialize it as an empty string. Amazing. So what will happen now is that on change, so when this input will be changed, the eTarget.value will be saved into our collection field. Amazing. Then we have our toggle. So our toggle is essentially, as you can notice here, I can close it. It's very annoying actually, but bear with me with a blow. I actually don't want the blow. It's so annoying. So when I click on the toggle, as you can see, this is barely visible, but the paste wallet address input is graying out, and I can't click on it anymore. And the only thing I can click on and fill is the paste collection address. So how do we do it? We need another variable that is keeping track of is fetch collection active or not. If fetch collection is active, then disable this input and first fetch the collection. If it's not, then fetch for the owner address. So, and this will only become a filter. So how do we do that? Well, we create another variable, another state, as you guessed it, like right under collection set collection, and this will store a boolean. So it will be false or true or false, and will be is fetch collection set fetch collection. Now, there is another place where we are seeing is fetch collection, and it's here. Remember, when I click on get collection, this gets grayed out, and you can do it by using the disabled property, use equal, and then pass a boolean as a value. So disabled true means the input is disabled. Disabled false means the input is abled, so you can use it. And the same, so in this case, is fetching collection is false, so this won't be disabled. But as soon as we'll toggle our toggle box, our checkbox, it will become disabled because this becomes true. Does it make sense? Any questions for now? Let me go back to my streaming thing. It should be here, I guess. Oh my God, I'm still losing my streaming window every time. Can I go there? So annoying. Okay, I can't see you anymore. I will try my best to see you again. So anytime soon. Oh, it's here. I cannot see it. Why? I need a Mac assistant now. Okay, I will just. Okay, never mind. It's probably somewhere. It's so weird. Anyway, okay, I can see the questions right now, but I don't want to lose time, honestly. And I will just go on with the program, and we'll look at the questions later on. It's annoying me too much. Because I can see it. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I see you again. Anyway, I will say, going back to our code here, we have fetch NFTs collection, and now we need to implement another two functions. So the first function we'll need to implement is the function that gets called on click, and it's fetch NFTs collection, or if is fetch collection is false, is fetch NFTs. So, or we want to fetch the NFT, all the NFTs for a given collection, or we want to fetch all the NFTs given an address, or given an address and a collection. So let's do it. First of all, I'm going to implement the fetch NFTs function because it's the easier and most straightforward to actually understand how it works. So what I will do, as I did till now, is go back to my old code, copy and paste here, and we have our fetch NFTs collection. So what this fetch NFTs collection is doing is essentially getting a wallet and a collection as a parameter, and then is verifying if the collection length is there. If not, then it won't use it. Perfect. And if it's there or not, then essentially these two functions are the same, these two lines are the same, is essentially calling the get NFTs endpoint to get all the NFTs owned by this wallet address. If the collection is present, it will get all the NFTs, so get NFTs owned by this wallet address that belongs to this contract address collection. Now, so just to go line by line, we're declaring an NFTs variable, then we're fetching, looking if collection is there. If it's not now, then we will use the collection parameter. If it's not, then we will just fetch using the wallet address. If it's there, we will fetch using the collection address and the wallet address, the wallet address and the collection address as a filter. And then we transform everything as a data.json. Because this is what you do when you fetch something that you want to transform it into JSON, so you can actually read it and access its properties via JavaScript. And then we console log the fetched NFTs. If NFTs were returned, so if we have NFTs, then we're simply setting the NFTs in our code. So this set NFTs is nothing different than this set fetch collection or this set address. Where is it? Or this set wallet address. So what we'll need to do now is to create a new variable to actually store our NFTs and bring them around into our components and render those on our web page, right? So what I will do now is create a new use state, this right under is fetch collection, and this use state will have an NFTs field that will be the actual variable, and the set NFTs that will be the method used to update the state variable, right? So if we find NFTs, then we will populate the NFTs variable with the NFTs we'll find. Now, as you can see here, we're accessing owned NFTs. Your question might be, why are we accessing owned NFTs? Well, I'm going to show you right now. So let me modify the code a little bit. And the only thing we want to pass here actually is fetch NFTs, and then we'll give in the wallet, and then we'll give it the collection. Okay, so as soon as we'll fill our inputs and we'll click on the button, this will run the fetch NFTs collection. The fetch NFTs method. So going back to our browser, I can go to 3001. Hopefully everything will work. So we have our input, we have our collection address input, get collections, and fetch NFTs. If I click fetch NFTs now, nothing will happen. It will try to fetch, but we don't have any address here. So I'm gonna grab an NFT address, a wallet address actually. I'm gonna paste it here, click on fetching NFTs. It will give me an error because we haven't yet defined the NFT card, but we're logging the payload. We're logging the data we're getting back. So if we go back to the code here, I have a console log fetching for collections and then NFTs. As you can see here, we got fetching NFTs. You can click on the own NFTs object, and you can see here we have a block hash. So it's the latest block we have been able to query. And we have all the own NFTs of that wallet address. So I have a contract, so I have many objects into this array. And the first one is an NFT, and the description of this NFT is the human spine consists blah, blah, blah. Then we have the ID, then we have a media, and inside the media, we have both the row IPFS link. So it should be IPFS colon blah, blah, blah. And then we have the row, so the place where you can actually see the image. So if I open this link here, I can see the image of that NFT. As you can see, this is the GIF we were seeing before. And then I have the time latest update. So when the NFT has been updated last time. And again, the title and the token URI. That brings us to the website of the collection or whatever. So we have a bunch of informations. And inside metadata, I have again all these things. And if there are attributes, I will also have the attributes of our NFT. If you don't remind what attributes are, you can go here on OpenSea NFT, look at properties. These are actually attributes, and all of these are the attributes. So you can also fetch the attributes. That's the way. That's the thing. Okay, now that we know what kind of data we're getting back, we can also understand why we were using .owned NFTs, because here, as you can see, we only want the NFTs. We don't care about the total count. We don't care about the block hash. We only want the actual NFTs. So here I'm setting the NFTs as NFTs.owned NFTs. Then we can just remove this line, and at this point, we're able to fetch these all the NFTs that are belonging to a given address. Now, the second step is to fetch all the NFTs that are belonging to a certain collection. So what I will do now is uncomment these lines here and remove this line because we don't need it anymore. And I will implement the fetch NFTs for collection method function. So it's very, very similar to the other one, where the only difference is that we only have a parameter, actually, that will be the collection. So we don't need the if-else logic to check if both parameters are there. And we're using another endpoint that in this case is get NFTs for collection. Once again, if you have doubts, if you have any doubts on which endpoint you should use, yeah, this will be in a repo somewhere. So I'm going to share the repo. Actually, let me share the repo right now. I don't know if we can do it on the fly, but is on the Alchemy platform GitHub profile. There is this build your own NFTs, Alchemy Chainlink Spring Hackathon NFTs. So I'm sending the link to the private chat. Hello, hello. So again, what I was saying is that you can simply go to the documentation if you don't know which endpoint you want to use and just check here. And all the information I'm telling you now are here written. So you will know that to get the NFTs, you will need, for example, an owner. You can also use a page key, and there is the we metadata that defaults to true, and a contact address that you can pass, and so on and so forth. In this case, we're using the get NFTs for collection. So what we'll need is a contract address and with metadata parameter, and optional a start token. We want to use the start token right now. There are new comments. We want to use the start token right now. So get NFTs for collection needs a contract address, as we saw here, and a with metadata. Again, what is with metadata? It means that it will also give us the whole metadata of our NFTs. It will bring with it the metadata of our NFTs. Otherwise, we will need to call another endpoint. And here we're passing the collection that is used as an argument here. And then, as we did before, we're transforming the data into JSON because we need to iterate over it. So let's do the same. In this case, fetch NFTs for collection will be available. So we can go back to localhost, refresh. We will get the same error about the NFT cards, but we don't care at the moment. I can get the address of this collection, go back to my localhost, click on get collections, fetch NFTs. Hopefully, we will only have the NFT card error, but here we have the first 100 tokens belonging to that collection. So if I go here, I can see the first token has this contract address, and this is the ID, the media, as we saw before, and the metadata. I can go here, click on the raw format of this media, and check which image belongs to it. So let me load it. 404 not found. That's amazing. It means it's working perfectly. Okay, let me remove the quotes here. All right. So we have these Atmos from the other side, NFT Metaverse. And we can use it. We can use it because now we have access to the URI. And what we want to do is exactly this. Use all this metadata that we got, such as the token ID and the description and the contracts and so on and so forth, to populate our amazing cards like we did here. Okay, so we want to do exactly the same. Oh, it's not working anymore again because, oh, my bad, as we did here. Okay, so image, ID, contract address, and so on and so forth. So let me go back to the code. Now that we have our set, again, here we're doing the same, we're setting the NFTs, so the end result will be the same. We will end up with an array of NFTs. So now that we know that we will end up with an array of NFTs, we can run this very common React pattern. That is, every time you are an array and you want to map over components over this array of objects, then you can use a map function. And what this map function will be, it will do like for every NFT into the array, then return an NFT card. And do you remember before we passed an NFT prop into our card? That's exactly what we're doing here. We have a prop that is the prop NFT, and we're passing an NFT as a prop, an object, an NFT object. So now that we know what's going on here, okay, just all of these orange lines that are not URLs are just styling coming from Tailwind. So you can ignore it or learn a little bit more about Tailwind, but just making our CSS life simpler, easier, right? So what is important are these like yellow names, set collections, set wallet, set fetch collection, and so on and so forth. So as I was saying, we can go back to the NFT card. And here, now that we know what this NFT contains, that is, again, an ID, a title, and a metadata, and the token URI, and so on and so forth, we can access this data. So for example, here I have this div, and then I image tag, and then inside the image tag, I'm passing the nft.media0.gateway. What do I mean by that? If you go here, NFT, this is the NFT object, media, array 0, and inside the array 0, I have this gateway and row URIs. So I'm getting the gateway URI because it's the one that usually works, right? So, and then I'm moving to the title. So I'm just fetching the title. So nft.title. I can go here. The title in this case is now, is an empty string. That's why we're not seeing anything here. And then I'm moving to the token ID. And because the token ID, let me remove the string here. I'm getting just a substring because token IDs are usually very, very, very long. So if I go back to localhost 3001 and I grab my NFT collection address again, toggle this, fetch NFTs is still now, of course. Let me import it. Let me just solve this issue. So how do we solve this issue before going through why substring is important? Is essentially complaining that we have this tag, but we haven't imported this tag here yet. So what I'm doing here is write import, and then NFT card from, and then probably is inside components, and then is inside NFT card. That's amazing. So we can go back to our localhost 3001. So now it's complaining about something that I'm not sure what's his issue. Or probably is just NFT card actually. Oh, my bad, because it's NFT card. So what's the issue here? Should work, and that's it. Can't resolve components NFT card. Components NFT card is actually here. So what's your issue, dude? Components / NFT card. Is the export here? Oh, all right. Oh yeah, it's here. So component, NFT card, let me restart. I see. Problem is that we need to restart our server. Run that. Components is not written well. Components. Thank you for that. So we can just go here, npm run dev, start it again, go back to our page. And then of course it's complaining about another thing that is font awesome. We didn't start it yet. And I'm gonna also comment out this line. All right, so we are back in our NFT application. We can copy our address here, paste it here, get collection. All right, so now we have accessed these images, and we access the ID, and we access the address. Now let me go back, and I was showing you why substring is super important. So if I remove it and I'm getting the full token ID, this is the result I'm going to get, because actually those are hexadecimal numbers that have more than 34 letters, more than 34 characters, so very, very long, right? But actually the only number you really care about is the last number. So it's actually the non-zero number, the first non-zero number. In this case 55, this will be 54, 53, and this is 54, so it's this way. So what we want to do is only get the last 4 numbers. So I'm going back, substring, token ID length -4, and we're only getting the last 4 numbers. And the same applies for the actually subs address. So if I remove all of these and I leave the full address, so it should be the full address. All right. As you can see, the address is very, very long, and it wouldn't work for, like, there is no enough space. So I just cut it down to the first 4 characters and the last 4 characters. That is just enough for what we need. And then we have the NFT description that I'm cutting down to 150 characters, because also those are super long usually. And then we have this button here that is view on Etherscan. Now Etherscan It's super simple to create such a link because what they're doing is like etherscan.io/token and then the contract address. But because we're getting the contract address right in the smart contract in the metadata we're getting back, then we can just chain the two, right? So you have HTTPS, etherscan.io token, and then the NFT contract address of that card or that NFT collection. So when you click on it, it will bring you to the Etherscan page of that collection. That said, this is pretty much it. The only last thing that is pretty fancy that you should be aware of is this Font Awesome component that you can just go on Font Awesome and click on Quick Start. So Font Awesome, Quick Start, React, and they will tell you what to install. So you can just click on their docs and install this SVG core. So I'm gonna create a new terminal, and I'm going back here. Yarn. I'm using Yarn because I found Yarn to be much faster. So I'm using Yarn for Awesome /Font Awesome SVG core, and this is a library that will give you access to a bunch of icons, pre-made icons that you can use in your projects. And then there is another thing we need to install, and is the Fort Awesome free solid SVG icons. So I'm going to install this as well. And I'm going to Control-Z a couple of times. And now we can import Font Awesome icon and font clone. That is the name of the copy icon. You can find all of this information in this tutorial here in their documentation. That is how to set up Flutter icon on React. And essentially what I'm doing here is importing the font clone. So I can go back, and it won't work, I'm sure, like 100% it won't work. Can refresh, and it's telling me is not finding React Font Awesome. So let's install this as well. Of it, I can go back, refresh my page, grab my other scan, other side contract address. Click here, fetch NFTs, and fetch all of my NFTs. Now I have my Flutter icon, Font Awesome icon ready to go. So what I'm doing here, I'm importing my font clone using the tag and then using the icon font clone here. And I'm using this fancy function that is navigator.clipboard.write text, and then the text you want to write. And this simple line of code is essentially allowing you to do a programmatic Control-C. So it's copying stuff in the clipboard for you. So if I want to copy, I don't know, like instead of the contract address, I want to write Chainlink is cool. I can just go back to my code, click on this small icon, paste it here, and now it's Chainlink is cool, right? So I can go back and copy instead the NFT contract address, click here, and now I will have my NFT contract address. Why is it useful? Now, if we go back to OpenSea.io, and let me grab another time an address, random wallet address. Oh my God, it's so slow. And I click on 418, go back to our application. And then I paste the wallet address here, fetch NFTs. I got a bunch of NFTs. He has actually a bunch of lands. And now I only want the lands that this account owns. I can simply click here on the small button, go on the input, paste the collection ID, and filter by collection. So clicking fetch NFTs again will only give me these collections. So let's try again, fetch NFTs. Now I have a bunch of NFTs. Go back. I have only these 3 NFTs. Remove these. That collection, fetch NFTs, and now I have all the lands, okay? And how we did it? We did it in half an hour, copying, of course, code for my repository, that's for sure, but without having to query the whole blockchain. So we essentially used get NFTs endpoint to get all the NFTs of an owner, and we associated it with a contract address to get all the NFTs of an owner of that collection, belonging to that collection. And now we use another endpoint that get these get NFTs for collection to get all the NFTs belonging to that collection, no matter the owner. So you didn't need to touch your Solidity skills or deploy smart contracts or use a 400 billion requests or whatever it is. You just used it and completely for free. Now, the only thing we should solve now that we don't have time today is to hide this API key. Now, you can look into vaults. That is very, very useful. You can look into getting the information you need on, in case of Next.js, using get server side prop, and pass everything as a parameter. Or set up a backend, a fully fledged backend that runs API calls and sends you back your API key, or runs your API calls directly from the backend and just sends you back the metadata. Those are the best ways to do it. Again, we didn't have enough time today to go through it. Again, it's completely free. If you want to look at the code, you can go to the GitHub repo. That's pretty much it. If you have any doubt, of course, feel free to send me a message on Twitter, on Telegram, on my emails, or wherever you want, on the Chainlink Discord, on the Developer DAO Discord. I love this shirt. On the Alchemy Discord, on the Web3 Discord. I'm pretty much everywhere. So just tag Vito and I should appear. My profile image should appear. Now, if you have questions or whatever, I'm super happy to answer those. Oh, yeah, that's another question. Will support all blockchains or just any EVM compatible blockchains? It actually supports all blockchains. It actually supports, if you go here, if you write Alchemy support, feature supports by chain. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing this screen actually. So let me make it smaller. You can go on feature supports by chain. You can scroll a little bit and see the NFT API with these endpoints. The get NFTs for collection is in beta now, but you can use it. It's supported by all networks on Ethereum, so mainnet and testnets, all network on Polygon. Nope, what am I looking at? NFTs. Okay, here we go. Polygon, Ethereum. On Arbitrum is unsupported, and on Flow is supported for all networks, and on Crypto.org is currently unsupported. But you can use it for L2 chains and Polygon and mainnet and Flow at the moment, completely fully fledged. Yo, Patrick, such a pleasure to see you here. Solana maybe is coming. Who knows? Near is not supported and is not in the roadmap from my understanding at the moment. But if we see that there is a lot of requests for what concerns like Near or other blockchains, for sure our engineers will be super happy to work on it. Stoked that it worked actually. Anyway, Patrick, if you're still there, I just introduced myself as a blockchain developer, so be proud of me. Oh yeah, 100%. The API will be expanded and it's still being expanded. As you noticed, we have the new endpoints. There are fetch NFTs for collection and get NFT owner. So 100%. We released it 2 months ago actually, and we already have more than 7 endpoints that you can use to fetch your NFTs. And again, just like shameful plug here, but just to prove the fact that it's completely free. It's crazy that you can use up to 300 million CUs for free. That is around 30 millions. No, actually way more, like 60 million calls to our APIs. That's way above any other kind of free API, especially in the Web3 world. Love that. So if you have other questions, that's amazing. Doubts or whatever, super happy to answer those. Also about like the projects you're doing or what you're developing. Let's go, Gabriel. Did you like it? I'm super curious. This is the first time I go out talking about the NFT API that deep. The pleasure was all mine. Thank you, folks.
Thanks so much, Vito. That was an awesome presentation, man.
It worked. Did you see it?
I know that
Incredible.
live troubleshooting. It's always a fun experience to do that.
Always super funny.
Man.
And I'm still need to figure out why the API wasn't showing up, the API key.
It's always the little details like that, the little environment variables, or the
Always.
one require statement. Those are the trickiest. And did you have an experience as a front end dev before you came into Web3?
I actually was a designer. Oh my God, this is a great question. I actually started doing the Academy of Fine Arts and I was creating 3D models for the movie industry. So completely different stuff. So I started as a designer and then moved in programming.
That is so cool. That's awesome.
It was funny. It was funny.
Do you use any of that knowledge like in your when you're like designing a front end or something, like design principles?
Every day, absolutely. Like hierarchy of elements on the page and how you want to convey the information. Like super stupid, right? But just the fact that this is not a great UI, it's a very bad UI, but just the fact that when you click on it, this gets grayed out. It's something, it's a process to learn these things, right? To avoid a user falling in confusion and stuff. So yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
Amazing. Are you going to NYC New York, NFT New York?
I don't think so. I'm laying low on the traveling for now, but I'm not going to leave it off the table either.
I love it. We should definitely meet. And all the people in the chat as well, you should definitely come to Web3 conferences. Best experience ever, especially if you're a Web3 developer. Seriously, connecting with the community is 100% the best part.
100%. Oh man, yeah. I went to Denver like we were talking about, and that was a crazy experience, man.
I love it. All right, folks. Hope it was clear. I saw you have an amazing form for the feedback about the speech and for the session.
Yeah, I can pull that up real quick. Post it in the chat.
I'd be so grateful for you folks to leave your honest opinion. I will add, of course, Chainlink to see if they should invite me again or not, and for me to shape better talks and speeches. So if you can answer it, it would be great.
I'll have you back any day, Vito. I work with Alchemy on a daily basis, so
I saw you. It's amazing. It's amazing. And now we have something big going on also with Patrick and Zubi.
Oh man, that's exciting. 1 second, I'm pulling up that feedback form for you. And take me 1 second.
Oh, sure.
And boom, in the chat. Posting right now. Yep, feel free to go there and let Vito know, let us know how he did, and I'll relay any of that feedback back to you, man, if I see anything.
Thank you so much. So it's been a huge pleasure for me to be here today and talk with you all in your amazing community, and hope you also, we will see your projects pretty soon, isn't it? When is the submission date?
It's in about towards the end of this month, right? We're about to reach the halfway point, the midway check-in.
Amazing. So turns out I will be one of the judges, like a merciless judge. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I just saw a couple of sneak peeks and I'm feeling huge imposter syndrome, because every time you are the judge, you're I don't even know where to start here. There are huge projects every time. So good luck to everyone. Yeah, amazing initiative, Chainlink.
That's awesome. And yep, thanks for coming. Thanks for talking. Go use Alchemy in your projects and get connected to the blockchain. Thanks so much, Vito.
Let's go. Have a great one.
See you.